Morning, beautiful people.
Let's go! Come on now with it. I got the right hat on and everything. It's signed by your race winner, Ryan Blaney. Let's go. Hell yes. We go into the championship for fuck Kyle Larson. Go to hell. We win in the championship.
My favorite part about this, just right off the rip, me and Caleb just tested levels, and we get the level right, and you're talking normal, and then you just fucking scream like a idiot right when we start, and then it's just redlining everything over here. It's like blowing my eardrums out.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, I'll turn me down just a little bit so I can help you out here.
There we go.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. I'm a little pumped up. It's a good weekend to be a Blaney fan. We needed this as a people.
It's been a good few weeks for Blaney.
It really has been, man. It's been the highlight of my life. I mean, we've going through all this house fire nonsense and it just being exhausting as hell. The one bright spot is every Sunday I have a chance to win again. And that's just nice. I mean, even as a Blaney fan, you haven't seen that in months. So let's go.
2 years.
Yeah, since that 3-win season.
It's been 2 years since he's been regularly up front.
And here we are, having a great damn season.
And this season, he didn't run great all year till the end, and then now he's top 5 every week.
If you're going to peak when it counts.
I agree with that.
Something Denny Hamlin could stand to learn.
Denny Hamlin, man. He's just I've said this exact thing on this podcast before, but he just doesn't come through in big moments.
Denny?
He's like the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, I will say it's a hard sport. It just you're never going to change that. It is a very difficult sport. But when you've had how many years, 16, 17 years going at it, it's like, damn, how much longer can you keep going without getting one? I mean, if you're going to run up front all the time, I feel like you're bound to get one eventually, but that's the tough part about this playoff format. You can be a damn good race car driver, and I'll finish it. But anyway,
it cracks me up though because Denny talks about this whole championship thing like it's a new thing, and I kind of saw a post yesterday talking about this. It's like this isn't new anymore, man. This is NASCAR now. Like we're 10 years into this. Denny only raced the other one from 6. Only 6 years. He only raced in the other championship format. And the only format he's ever been in was the Chase, which, in my opinion, was the best one. The top 10 drivers for 10 weeks just go at it. But still, this whole Final Four thing has been going on for 10 years now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. This is new NASCAR. So it's either adapt and get over it or you're just going to be a sad, stuck in the past human.
Yeah. It's tough, man. I mean, you just gotta, you're right. You gotta accept the reality of the way that it is. He's made it to the Final Four before, too, so it's not like he's unfamiliar with the playoff format. He's obviously exceeded at it. It's just tough when you come down to one race. I mean, anything could happen. It's great for your underdog. It just sucks for your overdogs that come in with the mentality of, I've had the best season, and I could lose it right here. And it's like, well, welcome to it. It just is what it is. This is the playoff format that you have, and until it changes, you can't keep complaining about it.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it. Now.
My favorite thing to look at is those Winston Cup points is Byron passed him, I think last week, and he stayed.
Last week when he blew out the
minus. He's 3 points behind Byron right now. I know that doesn't matter, but it's still fun to look at.
It doesn't matter, but it just gives you an idea that if we were working off of an actual point system, which granted, it's as soon as the regular season ends, it's an invalid point. I mean, everybody's racing differently than they would have. Your finishes are different based off of going for points and going for wins like they are now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any less fun to watch it because you can just sit there and watch and know, man, it would be a lot of fun. Like sometimes you're going to have that Max Verstappen wins at 6 races before the end of the season and we're just really racing for second thing go on. Or you could have it go all the way down to the last race and it's super close and technically 4 guys could get it. Like it was 1990, what was that, 1992, 1993, all over again?
There, That's the thing. Like, you could go either way, and there were years where it was like the person would win the championship. I mean, it happened enough when I was a kid. I remember guys getting the championship, a couple weeks before it ever even happened, or like you go into the last race and all you got to do is start your car. Like if you start the race, you're good. And then now I've seen it too. There's been the year, and then the only time this has ever happened, but like when the chase started, you had the year that Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards tied for the points, and the tiebreaker goes to Tony because he won the race. But like, it doesn't get any closer than that. And then you've had times where even with the reset 10 races back in the day, from 2004 to 2014, when Jimmy Johnson would still destroy everybody and win 6 of the last 10 races, and he would win it by 100 points, at the end. It doesn't matter if they reset them or not.
Yeah. No matter what, it's fun in a certain way. This gives you the anxiety of every race matters, and every 3 races is a major turning point where your driver could be eliminated or move forward, and this could make or break your entire season how this one race plays out.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. It has its own things that are fun, and it's come to grow on me a little bit. I think I'd still like to see the point situation be the way it goes, because it just changes up that you can have a bad race at a bad time. And it still sucks, but it's at least not going to tank your whole season. I mean, Denny Hamlin doesn't break that steering in turn 2 at Homestead last week, and he's in your Final 4.
Yeah.
So that's just, it sucks to see that one thing happened. But then again, if you go back to the points, you could probably do the same thing. But no matter what, it's just, you got to take it for what it is. You got to race it the way that it's set up, and you can't complain about it, and you just got to go out there and succeed. So
yeah, it blows. Or like for me as a driver, if I lost by, he's out by like 6 points or whatever, I would go back to Homestead. Obviously, that's 6 points out the door. I would go back to the Coke 600 when Chase, right hooks him in the wall. That race, out the door, finished dead last, So you could literally just take those races and him finish 6 spots in front of where he's at, and he's in. You know what I mean? Like, that's the craziest thing to me, is it literally came down to 6 positions on the track at some point during the season. And that's what I would replay those things in my mind all the time, just thinking about, man, I got 6 spots here, or there. It's like kind of when Denny pulls that move and puts Ross in the wall super early in the year this year. It's like, man, if he would have just finished where he was and not finished 25th, fucking with him, he'd be in. So I would just think about stuff like that happened all throughout the season.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest if you're a Hamlin, Truex, Reddick, or Buescher fan.
Also, didn't he have like a 25-point penalty too when he did that? It did that stuff. So
probably, but luckily those positions don't necessarily carry forward into the playoffs since they have the reset of the points and all that. But there's a possibility that you would have been awarded stage points, playoff points here and there from succeeding in winning a stage or winning a race that you were knocking yourself out of. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier before we got started today. If I was Hamlin, I'd be so heartbroken over the fact that there was so many times this year he's been running up front and he's always running second or third. It's like they bring the second or third fastest car to the racetrack every week, and every now and then they give it just enough to bounce it up into that first position. But how many times did he run second or third to William Byron and Kyle Larson earlier this year at
the
Las Vegas?
At the beginning of this year, Phoenix included. Where we're going, Phoenix included, because Byron won that earlier this year, and I think Larson finished second. But like even yesterday, like you had at Martinsville, they ran great, and then the 24, he looked terrible yesterday. So I saw a tweet that's like, he's driving them pods moving truck. I thought that was hilarious.
That's hilarious.
But like obviously you can miss it, but like those guys earlier this year, the 24, the 5, and the 11 were the 3 best. That's another reason we all was like, well, they're a lock for the 4, and then you go through the year, and then the 19 comes on and just has the hottest summer ever, where his average finish was probably 5th, for a stretch of the whole summer, I mean, there was a good chunk. I'd say 10 to 15 races, and then he comes in, and I saw yesterday his last 9 races with all together, 17.8 was his average finish. So, like, that just ain't going to get the job done. That's bad. But, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's how they were saying yesterday the cars are running like 1.4 second different laps from first to dead last. It's like, oh, my God, it doesn't get any more closer than that, So, like, him bringing the third best car, it's just, is it talent? Is it driver? Is it whatever it may be? It's right there. It's right there, but it's just not over the top, It's not enough to get him over the hill.
Yeah. I think he's got everything he needs to win a championship. It's just, it all comes down to luck and execution. Both of those things are related, but completely separate from each other, and only one do you have control of. And that's just part of the game you play whenever you're racing at this high of a level. Execution's going to get you pretty damn far, but luck's going to be that extra little bit that you need to bounce back from it. And right there, what Denny really needed was Willie B to have a problem or Blaney to have a problem. And unfortunately, the luck just happened to fall on Blaney's end. And Willie B just happened to be just good enough to edge his way through. I mean...
Yeah, he was just... I mean, like they said, you had to finish 18th, and that's what he did. He finished 18th.
Yep. I just was watching... I didn't get a chance to watch any of the race yesterday for everybody listening. I had to watch it this morning. We ended up going to the mall and buying outfits to go take engagement pictures yesterday. So... we were busy all day long, so I got up early this morning when Allison left the house and just turned on the race and watched it all the way from start to finish. And so it's all fresh on my mind, and just listening to Rudy Fugle and Willie B.
Holler at him, dude. Just fucking give him all. He was coaching him but you could tell
it was desperate.
Rudy was like fired up. He had the anxiety. He was like, I mean, he was hollering.
It was stage
hilarious.
1. Stage 1, he's already hollering at him. He's screaming at him, man. I know it sucks. We're going to get through this. All I need you to do is just fight for me to stay on the lead lap. Just hold your position right here. Try to go get some points if you can. Doesn't get the points. All right, we got to do something with the setup. Yeah. They do something with the setup, and Byron's like, man, thank God you gave me something I can work with. A powerful change. Like, God dang, I can't imagine the level of anxiety you come in there knowing that you're the one that stands to lose everything, and the guys you need to beat are running 1, 2, and 3 right now on the racetrack. Oh, man, that's just a lot.
It cracked me up because, like, I know what Rudy sounds like. I know what his voice sounds like, but he was hollering in such a tone. When the race first started, like you said at the beginning, they're playing the audio, and I was like, who is that? Like, I didn't know who that was. I couldn't tell who it was. I was like, that's got to be Rudy, but it didn't sound like him because he was so fired up and shit. I was like, holy shit, he's feeling it.
I can't imagine the level of stress on that pit box. The whole thing was probably shaking because his leg was bouncing the whole time.
He's going to be doing the same damn thing next week.
Oh, yeah. God, it's going to be a great race next week. I really think it is.
I hope so. It's just, I don't know what tire they're bringing, or what they're doing for Phoenix, but Phoenix hasn't been known, even in the other car, hasn't just been known for great races. Like,
when I say great race, I'm just excited because this is my first time, and obviously Blaney's first time ever making it in the Final Four.
And that makes it way more fun, obviously. You got something to fight for.
I'm very excited for it. I know you've experienced it with when you were Chase Elliott was your biggest guy, and then Larson comes in and he gets it too. You've seen this happen a couple times. This is my first time in all of professional sports that I've ever had the team that I root for make it to the final anything. Technically, the Rangers made it to the series twice when I was younger, but I am not a baseball guy. I watch it more, and they're there right now. So it's a good month for me, don't get me wrong, but I'm just not the biggest baseball fan in the world. I haven't watched anything but Braves games all year when you were watching them. So
yeah, we watched a lot of baseball this year.
We did.
Not the Rangers.
We watched a lot of baseball. Don't get me wrong, I like it, but I'm just not into it the same way. So to see Blaney go into the Final Four is just really cool. It's an experience I've never had. I cannot wait for Sunday to come around.
Yeah.
I do not want to go on this run that we're about to have with Travis. I just want to stay home, get absolutely plastered. Watch every single one of these championship races and build up my excitement for the Final Four come on Sunday.
Yeah, I just hope some crazy shit happens, really.
Me and you both. As long as it doesn't happen to the 12 or the 5, man, because we got to duke it out to the end.
I was texting Bud. He texted me yesterday. He was drinking beer, playing pool, and watching the race in a bar. And we were, all excited and whatnot. And I was like, hell, we get to watch the trucks and bush race on the bus. Like, we'll get to all watch that together. And he's like, hell yeah, it'll be cool. And I was like, hell yeah. It
is going to be a lot of fun. Because I can't remember what we did last year for the championship race for the first two, the trucks and the Xfinity. I feel like we were working again for those two.
Yeah, I'm sure we were working wherever it was. I don't think we were off.
We ended up having the party at our house for the championship, though. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Caleb, you've done that a bunch.
I try to do it every single year. I think this is going to be the first year in 3-4 years that I'm probably not going to be able to host anything because of obviously the situation we're going through. I'm disappointed. We always have a good time.
You can tell everybody about the coming in the clipboard and doing the Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
Always, and back when you were at Toots, you went all out. I mean, Caleb probably spent the year I won it. So the year Chase won the title,
2020,
I picked, Caleb would do a thing where you pick the final order of the finishing four, like the top end points, how they roll.
Yeah, you just break it down every different way that they could finish, and the first people to show up get to pick their finishing order. And so everybody would, as they walk in the door, I'd be like, pick a finishing order, and everybody would sign their name below one. Yeah. And I put together this big pack of nonsense for everybody. We probably had 15, 20 people over at your place.
Yeah, then
it was something. It was a ton of guys, and I had a Blaney diecast hauler, a couple diecast cars.
It was a couple haulers, a couple cars. It was like
a couple haulers, couple cars,
and bottle of tequila and a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Yeah, and that was the prize for winning if you picked the correct finishing order.
I mean, well over $100 worth of stuff.
Yeah. It was awesome. Everybody was super pumped about it. Everybody was watching and going crazy. It was a ton of fun. We cooked a shitload of food, and so it's been a tradition to do that. And it's just always been something we try to do every time. And if it wasn't for this house fire, I'd definitely be having it again. Just trying to get everybody to come down and watch the final race of the season. Because even if you're not a NASCAR fan, you can come in and watch a championship race and have a good time of it.
Yeah.
And I try to give you someone to cheer for.
But I can't remember what we did last year. We lived together last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we had everybody over. We did the same thing, had everybody over. I don't think I had very much of a prize pack going on. We just had a lot of people come. Liam brought his Oculus.
Yes, I remember. We played it out. Yep,
VR thing. We were playing that, and we just had a good few people come down, and we all hung out, cooked a bunch of food, and drank a bunch of beer again. And
I remember
had a great time.
It was the last championship Kyle Busch won. Caleb was living in Murfreesboro. I only remember this because it pops up in my memories every single year. But we were down in Murfreesboro. Same deal. A bunch of people came. We do the same thing, pick the winners and all this. And we had bought a ton of beer. We cooked a ton of food. And I had this post. I was like, dude, we drank all this beer and ate all this food to watch Kyle Busch dominate this race. I was like, this sucks. And I posted
back when Homestead was a boring racetrack.
I posted
nobody could pass there.
I posted that, and it pops up every year. I don't remember. That was probably 2018.
That was
probably
2018
17.
when he won that second title because it was Truex, and then it was Kyle Busch, Logano, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Logano, and this year's going to be Blaney. I'm just calling it right now.
Larson, 21. I don't remember what we did in 21 either. That was cool. See, 21 was the year that you had the Braves won the World Series, the Dogs won the national title, and Larson comes in and wins the title. So it was for me, that was like, that's as good as it gets. I actually have the tattoo that I'm like drawn up. I've had it forever, but I still want to get that on my thigh of like all three of those, like winning it in 2021 champions.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's
it's
awesome.
It's a cool thing. It does give it that Game 7 feeling, and it does make it exciting, but it's also nerve-wracking because I said this a while ago and I texted you, but it's like at Phoenix the race is 312 laps, and
which is nothing.
One of the shortest races of the year, and if one thing goes wrong, one single thing, You speed on pit road, something as simple as a jack falling, like happened to Truex yesterday. You do that, and your race is over.
Yeah.
I mean, your championship is thrown out the window pretty much immediately.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the only good part about it is that all the non-playoff guys, I don't know what they say in the drivers' meeting every year at Phoenix, but they must say it with a lot of emphasis because all of those guys will race the Final Four with so much respect. It's almost laughable if you can't finish top four. If you're one of the top four, and you do not finish even in the top 10, much less the top 5. I mean, if you can't manage to get a good position out of that race with everyone racing you the way that they do the Final Four, it's embarrassing. Or you just got a slow car, or you just missed the setup, or something happened. Because it is crazy. So at least you don't have to worry as much about those other guys. But I'll tell you what, it's all set up for you. All you got to do is go out there and execute, and then just be the fastest of 4. Man, it is nerve-wracking.
This is my own idea about this too, but I don't think I'd be willing to put money down on this. I don't think NASCAR techs those cars the same way they tech them all year long, and I do not think they would let a champion do all of that stuff and then disqualify them after the race. I think the reason they are so fast is because all those cars are cheated up way more than they are all year.
Oh, 100%.
And those 4 are just they do race them easier for sure. They let them go by because you don't want to be the guy that messes up a championship guy's race at the playoffs. Like you'd probably be hated by the fan base, probably.
And you don't want to fight a pit crew member. I promise that. I promise you that. And they will come down on you.
So between those two things, they pretty much just run, up front. Those 4 run up front. And then last year, I think is one of the only times I can remember one of the Final Four guys wrecking because Chase and Chastain got into it, on that restart, and he sent him down the inside wall, and it wrecked him. But other than that, okay, now I'm talking about Phoenix. Homestead, I remember Rex. I do remember Rex.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
At Carl Edwards and all that. But this is new NASCAR, so we don't think about Homestead anymore. We just think about Phoenix. I don't remember a Final Four guy wrecking at Phoenix ever, except Chastain wrecking Elliott last year. So, it pretty much comes down to just like they say, the winner of the race is going to be a guy in the Final Four. It's never not happened. So we're 10 years in. It's never not happened. So there's a good chance the winner is going to win the race and the title.
Yeah. I was even telling you that right as we were starting this podcast. When we got down to the betting tips, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop that little nugget right here. If you're betting on this race and you bet anyone that's not a Final Four driver to win it, you are throwing money into a fireplace. No reason
unless you put money on the 4 car and they let him cheat his car up too, since he's the Phoenix King, and they let him win his last race.
I wouldn't even want to complicate it that much. I would say just put money on your Final Four. That's all you got to do. Put something on one of those guys, and you have a 25% chance of winning that bet.
I'm gonna make it even more simple and just say put money on your favorite and go from there.
Yeah, for real. I mean, we were looking a little bit forward to Phoenix. We'll get back to Martinsville. I mean, we're already on it, and it's championship week.
We haven't spoke about Martinsville once, I don't think.
We'll get back to it at some point and talk about it. But, I mean, obviously we got the championship coming up, so that's what everybody's excited about. That's what everybody's talking about. We were just looking up finishing stats for the 4 drivers and trying to kind of figure out who our favorites are. And without any doubt in my mind, your 2 favorites, and it's just hilarious that it's between me and you, are Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney. Blaney's finished runner-up the last 2 races. He hasn't finished, you said, outside the top 10 in 9 Phoenix races. Not even all talking about championship races. Just anytime we're at Phoenix, he is damn good there.
Out of 10 races, he's finished in the top 10 9 times, and Larson out of 10 races finished top 10 8 times.
Yeah, and that difference, I guarantee you, is not for anything Kyle Larson did. It was that one race, I think it was like a 26th place finish or something like that he had coming. 34th, there it is.
Yeah.
For the spring race in 2022. Definitely an issue happened there. Engine expired. So out of all the races he's had the last 10, the only one time that he hasn't finished top 10 was because the car gave out. So that tells you everything you need to know about Larson's chances there. And then if you look at William Byron at Phoenix, he's a little bit more wishy-washy. A lot of finishes in the top 10. And he's had some success there. No wins at all. But if you're looking at just sheer consistency, he just doesn't quite match up with Blaney or Larson. His last few finishes, I'd said that wrong. He did have that win earlier in the spring.
Yeah, he won this year.
His finishes before that: 6th place, 18th, 17th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 17th, and so on. He's a 50-50 to hit your top 10 outside of the one win that he's had. So dangerous for the fact that he knows how to win there, but not so dangerous for the fact that he could also go out there and just finish barely in the top 20.
The only thing I give the 24 a nod to is this year he has been a different 24. It's not the same 24 that's been we've never seen this William Byron before, ever. You know, like
I'll give you that.
He's won what, 5 races, I think. So 6 races. So I mean, yeah,
which is an unbelievable season in this next gen era of NASCAR.
He's had. I mean, I don't know that stat, so I'm not gonna say it, but he's had an incredible year. So I give a nod to him because of that. If the 24 won at Phoenix, I can't say I'd be surprised, because one, it's already happened, and two, the year they've had. I would be surprised if Bell won. I would be surprised if he won. I didn't have Bell even in here. I mean, like I said, Bell gets hot at the right times, but even last year he didn't look great at Phoenix. So we'll see.
Yeah,
but I don't.
His last 7 finishes: 6th, 10th, 26th, 9th, 17th, 24th. No top 5s, only 4 top 10s, and 3 races that were just terrible, honestly, for Joe Gibbs equipment.
But he's a guy that I don't think's really ever been consistent. Like, Bell's ran some races and won some races where he, like, dominated, you know, in the car. Like, everything went right, and he just killed it. You know what I mean? And then he has some races where he literally goes out and runs 24th, and that's like just where they run all day. They don't even talk about him, you know? Yeah. So he's kind of been that way in his whole Cup career. Now, obviously, in trucks and Xfinity, that kid won every single weekend. But in Cup, it's been very all in or all not in. It just depends on the weekend.
Yeah, and you can use the excuse of, well, Cup Series is hard. And I mean, it's on one hand, yes, Cup Series is hard, and it's tough to be consistent. But I just don't understand. I want to know what goes on in the 20 garage from the moment that the playoffs start. To get him to the Final Four, how many years in a row is this? 2 years in a row?
Yeah, he's the only driver. Granted, it's only 2 years into this, but in the next gen, he's the only guy that's made it both times.
Yeah, and he probably, I mean, I would love to see a stat put up if somebody could ever really go through and figure this out. The number of minutes of airtime each individual driver has by the end of the year, I guarantee you Christopher Bell is in the top 4 these last 2 years, but probably has the least amount of airtime out of all of the playoff drivers, including the ones that are down in the 16th to 14th positions, because they get talked about a ton when the bubble comes around for cutoffs. I bet you Christopher Bell doesn't even get into the top 10 of airtime for drivers, because he just never gets talked about. He doesn't make waves. He doesn't drive up front consistently. Yeah. And the one times that he does drive up front consistently, it's such a blowout that it's not interesting to talk about the leaders, so they talk about everybody else going on. Yeah, it's just a strange situation to be Christopher Bell in Joe Gibbs equipment, somehow making it to the Final Four, beating out teammates of Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex to get there. It just blows my mind every year that he gets all the way as far as he does.
There is 100%. I know we said this last week. There's 100% something about the way the playoffs are laid out and the way that racetracks fall into his wheelhouse. And That's just that is it's true. That is it. That is for sure a fact. Like the tracks are just his type of tracks, like drivers have their tracks and his tracks happen to be laid out perfectly where there's one or two in each round, And
Yep.
like a guy like Larson, it's happened to him multiple times before. But him trying to get to that round with Talladega and stuff, it's damn near impossible. And then like we've said, every time he's done that, he makes it till onto the end. But like sometimes you get 3 tracks in a row that just aren't don't fit in the wheelhouse. I know we talked about that really hardcore at the beginning of the playoffs, like Michael McDowell, Busher, and all them. Like it just that like I said that round doesn't fit Larson's, and then this round doesn't fit this person, or whatever. It just seems that Bell's fit, and he has a couple through each spot that fit.
He has. It's possible to make it through, like you said, with one racetrack being your bad racetrack in every round. As long as you can be mediocre, as long as you can be about 16th to 10th there, you'll point your way through for the rest of them. And or you go out and you win the second race of the round, and you don't even have to worry about that last one like you did last week at Homestead. I mean, just find your moment and know which tracks to circle and know which tracks need the extra little bit of help, but you're not necessarily looking for a win.
Yeah,
it's Christopher Bell is just the most disappointing Final Four member. If you're a Christopher Bell fan, I'm not going to apologize. I don't have any love for the man. I don't get it. I don't get how he ends up here every time. And I guarantee you he's not going to win. I can say this with 75% chance of being right, so it kind of leans in my favor. But I can guarantee you he's not going to win this championship. And even if he did, I'd be so disappointed in that, because what a boring championship, to be honest. At least whenever Logano won it with a mediocre season, he's Logano. But when Bell goes out and does it, it's like, man, a mediocre season and a mediocre driver gets the championship, and he can hate me all he wants. But it just feels that way about him. He just doesn't make the headlines. And so I'm cheering for anyone but C-Bell.
He's one of those guys that they don't boo or cheer when he gets introduced, Like, you don't really see anybody at the racetrack with a 20 shirt on that doesn't say Tony Stewart.
Clap. Yeah. It doesn't say Tony Stewart. Big shoes to fill there.
So, I mean, that's just what Bell, I don't know. It's just where he's fallen into in his career.
Yeah.
But then you go out, just on that note for a second, they talk about, Busher. You never saw anybody with a Busher shirt on until this year. He goes out and wins 3 races in 5 weekends. And everybody, you go to the damn racetrack. We specifically, we go to Talladega, and there's more RFK and Busher and Keselowski stuff there than I've seen in 10 years at the racetrack. So you win a couple races, and that'll change. And I know Bell's won a couple races, but I don't know, just something about it, I guess. I don't know. People aren't attached, I guess.
Yeah.
Bell used to have the dirt track racing community behind him 100%, and then just the way Larson does. But then him and Larson got into it. When they got into it so many times, and it's kind of known, they respect each other, but they're not big fans of each other. They're definitely not like drinking beer on the weekends. And so you got that, and then your team owner pretty much says publicly, fuck dirt track racing. People did not take well to that. So that was another thing that hurt him pretty bad,
Yeah, it's hard to win fans when you're alienating your core fan base. It's like, I don't know, maybe NASCAR? It's like, learn a little bit of a lesson, man. You cannot alienate the people that got you there in an effort to win over the people that didn't. There's just never going to work that way.
Yeah.
But so here's a fun question for you. If you look at all of the Final Four going into Phoenix, I want to hear your biggest reason why you think each of them will win it, and your biggest reason why each of them won't win it, including Kyle Larson. So let's start out with Christopher Bell. Why will he win this race, and why won't he win this race?
Why he will? I have a hard time. I'm with you. I don't think Bell wins this race. But I could see them, him saying, them just being that team that was like, fuck last week. let's put everything we got into this Phoenix car. Let's work on Phoenix. Let's do this. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that's all they're doing. So I could see him winning because of that, and I could see him not winning because I don't think he'll win. I think he'll get outrun by the other three.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I think Christopher Bell, if he wins this race, it's because he does like he always does, and he goes out there and dominates it. So if he goes out and qualifies in the front row, let's just say at least front row or second row, if he goes out there and qualifies like that and can manage to stay up front all day long, I think he can go out there and do it. But that is only if they put the car underneath him, just like you said.
If I'm Bell, I don't want to get the pole because that means I'm going to finish about 17th statistically.
Yes, that's also a good point. But I think you're very right. If he wins, it's because the crew chief. I hate to say this because I know drivers probably hate to hear this, but if he wins, it's because the crew chief, and if he loses, it's because of the driver.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. I mean, possibility of something going wrong with the car is still there for him to lose it, but I think he is statistically not good enough at Phoenix to outrun the other four or the other three.
Yeah.
Especially with the stats that alone Blaney and Larson have.
Yeah. Willie B, the reason I could see him winning it is because what I just said a while ago, they're having the best year they have had ever, and he won here just, 10 months ago. And the reason I could not is because he's going up against Larson and Blaney, who are statistically possibly the two best other than Kevin Harvick at Phoenix. As of right,
Yeah.
as of late, their stats blow Harvick's out of the water. Obviously, I know Harvick has like 12 wins at Phoenix over the last 20 years, which is incredible. But
it is. I'm with you. I mean, the 24 wins it off Mojo alone, which is so funny to say about Willie B, because also the reason I'm going to say he doesn't win it is because he doesn't have the championship mojo. To me, he doesn't. He's a good guy, great race car driver, has really proved himself this year. But if you get him down into a position of having a beat and bang for the win, I think if you put him and Kyle Larson in a cage match of trying to outrun each other on a late race restart, that's almost guaranteed to happen at Phoenix. You're just going to see the 5 punt the 24 out of the way and the 24 trying to be too respectful. I think they win it off mojo or lose it out of politeness in a kind of a way. Moving up to Kyle Larson. Why does he win it? Why does he lose it?
He wins it because he's the most talented driver in the field. He loses it
Damn,
because
what an apologist. What a Kyle Larson apologist we got on our hands.
He loses because he loses races on his own from his own doing more than any other driver possibly ever.
Literally, Kyle Larson, this is the win and lose statement.
Yeah.
Checkers or wreckers. He's either going to win it or he's going to lose it in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, dude, he is tied Kevin Harvick for DNFs, except Kevin Harvick has like 700 more starts than Kyle Larson has.
Yeah.
That just happened. That just happened after last week with that tire barrel thing.
Damn.
I've heard a lot of people talk about this week specifically, obviously from what happened at Homestead, and I just do agree with it. The dude, I mean, he is so talented that he puts his car in places that he thinks he can do whatever with that car, which I would much rather have a driver that's balls to the walls and confident than not.
Yeah.
But he puts his car in situations that sometimes that the car can't handle, that gets out from under him and, does this, does that. He gives, and it's 100% coming from a dirt track racing guy who's typically only racing 50 laps, a race. There's no just like getting through it in dirt racing. You are balls to the walls from the drop of the flag. So that's the way Larson runs all the time. He's ran that way since he was forever. With Ganassi, the same way. The first thing he said when he won at Homestead in that Valvoline car last year, when we were in Charlotte, actually, me and you were. I don't know why I remember this, but we were at that Bojangles Arena.
Yeah.
And me and you were watching the race. He gets out of the car and he was like, finally, we have a car tough enough that I can win at Homestead. Because what he's saying by that was he is like I think maybe the all-time leader at Homestead laps led, but he gets in the wall, and those cars, the sheet metal on the other cars would cut a tire, mess something up. He couldn't do it. He couldn't run off the wall. Obviously, we've seen these cars. You can hit them head on in a pack of barrels, and they don't even look like you hit anything.
Yeah.
So he can lean on the car up against the wall and do his thing. You know what I mean? That quote is to a T who Kyle Larson is.
It is.
So,
the same reason he wins the race is the same reason he loses the race.
Yeah.
Because he's going to race as hard as physically possible.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. If you put the 5 on the 24, honestly, a lot of times the 5 in anyone, I mean, you've seen it with Kyle Busch. You've seen it with all sorts of different drivers across the years. You put Kyle Larson up against somebody for the win, and Kyle's going to do everything he can to get that win. The one thing I will say, though, is he is a respectful race car driver. He is not going to absolutely obliterate you and right-hook you in the wall.
Exactly what I was about to say.
He will lean on you as hard as he possibly can without wrecking you.
He will put you in a bad spot. I saw there's an old dirt track driver here in Rome. His name's David Beam. He used to say, he's like, I'll wreck you and make you think you wrecked yourself. And that is, in a way, that is not like I put the bumper to you and put you in the wall. That is, I gave you a half a lane less coming out of turn 2, or I put your car in a spot going into the corner that I knew you couldn't handle, you know, stuff like that. And that is Larson's way of bumping and banging. And like what you said about him and the 24, like he's not just going to go in there and punt the 24 up the track. He will go in there on the inside of the 24 and use 8 tires instead of 4 tires.
He will. And it'll be up to the 24 to figure out what to do about that. And if you get too angry, he's too fast for you to come back and do anything back to him. Yeah. So, great way to put it. He wins it or loses it off of his own accord.
Yep.
I agree with you. As long as Cliff Daniels gives him a good race car, and let's be honest, I haven't seen him really give him a terrible race car, except for maybe once or twice a year. I mean, he'll give him a bad car once or twice a year, tops. Some guys, they'll get a bad race car about 25% of the time.
Man,
so
moving, even things like though at Wilkesboro. Just one last thing with Larson and Cliff Daniels. Like, he comes out there and there's only like he's running dead last. The car's running. The car's terrible, and they go in the pits and they, like we talked about, rub some magic dust on it, whatever.
He waves the magic wand, like DW said.
Yeah, and then he comes back out, dude, and he waxes the field. Like, I don't know. They can fix it. They can figure it out. It's such a short track and a short race. You know, that's interesting. But
and it plays into Kyle's wheelhouse, like you said. He's used to running these short sprint races, so this everything stacks up in his favor. His stats,
if he
the length of the race,
good and all that,
and his
can
success.
lead. He'll be all right.
Just like I told you at Homestead, Larson's got to beat Larson.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what the other 3 are banking on.
That's exactly right.
And then moving on for our last one, Blaney, why does he win it and why does he lose it?
Blaney, statistically, over the last 5-6 years, I guess, probably has the best stats at Phoenix. So, not that he's won, but, I mean, he's running basically top 5, every race.
Runner-up finishes to the champion.
So that's why he wins, because obviously – this is perfect. I mean, Phoenix fits his wheelhouse. I mean, Phoenix is apparently that's his track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that and just seeing Blaney win yesterday gives me confidence for Blaney. You know, like even though he ran incredible at the 600. Don't get me wrong, but he was lights out yesterday. I mean, lights out. Like, he didn't fuck up. He had the 11 giving him the bumper. He's brake checking. He had plenty of reasons he could have wrecked yesterday. And, him and Reddick get into it. Like, he could have messed up and not won that race yesterday, but they were lights out. I mean, the car, the driver, everything. So that's why he can win Phoenix.
I agree.
The reason he doesn't win Phoenix is because they just as a whole. Now, I mean, they're here as of recent. The last 5 weeks, they've been awesome. But as a whole, he's had a very up and down year. It hasn't been incredible. You know, we got people calling in the DBC talking about they're wanting to drown themselves in a hot tub. That's how bad the Blaney fans were this year. So that would be why he doesn't. I mean, what if he come out and they have a just dog shit car and he qualifies 17th, you know, and runs their all race, you know. So that's my reasoning for Blaney, why he does and why he doesn't.
Yeah, I'm very similar, but just in different words. I think he wins it because he got hot at the right time. And I think he loses it because he had to get hot. I mean, that's the thing. You have to take the rest of the season into account. Did they find something? What did they find? Why did the other Penske drivers not get that same benefit?
Yeah.
Is it something that his team found? Is it information that he was shared by someone else at Ford that didn't go to the rest of Penske?
Is it in that shock?
Is it in that shock? It could be 1,000 different things. But the thing is, if you look at the rest of the season, he loses it because he drives a Penske Ford.
Yeah.
And he wins it because he's just hot at the right time. And that's the tough part. How long is this momentum? How long does it last? Does it have one more race in it? Does this hot streak he's on have one final race? Do I have to spend another $150, $60 on a championship diecast next week? All hinges on how good does that race car show up to the track. I think this is where the crew chief and the engineers and the race team is going to have to take everything that they've learned over these last 8 weeks and throw all of it into that car. So I'm with you. He wins it because he's suddenly there and his consistency has gone up. I mean, you're very right. I've seen so many races where Blaney runs up front and loses it within the last 50, 60 laps, trying too hard or getting nervous or doing something. It all seems to fall apart right there at the end. Bad pit stops. Different things have always come and made him fall short of the moment in an individual race.
Oh, yeah.
Has he matured enough that when a championship is on the line, not just the win of the race, but a championship is on the line, has he matured to the point where he can overcome that? We're going to find out in about 6 more days. So I'm with you. It's definitely going to be – it's real fun to look at all these different drivers and see the strengths and the weaknesses that they bring to the table. And you couldn't talk about 4 more different drivers coming up through here. The only thing you're missing is somebody like a Kyle Busch with that badass attitude that walks in there ready to fuck everybody up.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've got a great set of drivers here to pick from.
There's not an old veteran in the field. You know, Larson's the 31 and he's the oldest. It's the youngest average age for a playoff Final Four we've had so far. So in 10 years, you know, that's what we've got.
Absolutely wild. So let's see what the young guys are made of. I mean, you got to go out there and win at a racetrack that's consistently been about track position and how you execute. So let's see what happens. That pit road's the only thing making me nervous right now, and we're not even to the race yet.
Yeah, I mean, pit road is going to make that makes or breaks this whole race for everybody. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what I was saying earlier. It's just a short race, one little hiccup on pit road, and your your championship hopes are done.
Yeah. I mean, it just happened to Martin Truex at Martinsville. 0.2 miles an hour or whatever it was. Yep. I mean, tiny little margin of error. He might have advanced through. But could he have been still eliminated? Definitely a good shot. But he could have made it through had he not gone 0.2 miles an hour too fast on one tiny little section of pit road.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. It's 0.2 miles an hour can ruin your whole season. So
yeah, after 30-something races and making it all the way through the challenge that is the playoffs, you're gonna get there. You gotta execute. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, and that's it. That's the thing that's probably gonna keep me up at night until Monday morning.
We've talked this whole podcast for 50 minutes about Phoenix. One thing I want to point out about Martinsville, I want to give props to, they're saying, I don't know if it's whoever the guy is that convinced them to run that different tire this weekend at Martinsville.
Yeah.
It didn't fix everything, but man, it made it not suck absolute ass. And that was good. And I see you got on here 80% on Jeff Gluck's poll. Yes, I mean literally the last one was 37% yes, which was the lowest
of all the season. It was the worst race all season according to the fans.
So that's a drastic change, and the only thing that changed was those tires.
Mm-hmm.
So that was that. Props to that. They talked about it a little bit on the broadcast. I don't know. I can't go into exactly all the changes it made because I don't really know. They're talking about how the actual tread on the tire was thicker and softer and made it like grippier, and it got tore apart better and stuff. And I mean, that's what we've been wanting. And if it for a softer tire, if that's what it takes is to get, more tread, then that's what we need. That's actually what happened to the pace car. There was so much rubber on the track, the tires picked it up on the pace car, and it ripped the wiring harness out from under the car because there was so much rubber on the. I saw pictures of it on Twitter. That was cool. I mean, that's crazy that there was that much rubber laying down, and when there's that much hot, greasy rubber on the track, that's going to make for good racing. So,
and it did.
Yeah, props to whoever's decision that was to get that right. That was cool. That helped out.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best Martinsville race ever, no, but was it a good Martinsville race? Yes, it 100% was a good race.
Absolutely. Like you said, props to Goodyear for finally giving us something that we can enjoy, which is a soft tire that did degrade, that caused a difference in lap time if you took tires or if you didn't. It laid down rubber on the track. It got people loose or tight when they hit it. There was buildup of rubber in the middle of it. I mean, it just had everything that you needed a tire to do at Martinsville. It did a lot of it. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's still perfect, but at least we can finally start listening to what, especially Denny Hamlin's been telling us, Goodyear problems constantly. We got to fix those.
Yeah.
And here we go. We made a huge swing at it, and we got a solid in the part double on that. I'm here for it.
Yeah. As well was I. Let's talk about probably the biggest riled up thing of the weekend. Let's introduce this first. So, Hack of the Week.
Yes,
okay.
The award no one wants, but you gotta earn the hard way over a season-long battle with your teammate. What an idiot.
I'm so confused. And I don't know what the hell is going on at RCR and what kind of turmoil is going on between Austin Hill and RC and Sheldon Creed and Andy Petrie. I have no idea what goes on behind closed doors, but it all came out this weekend at the racetrack.
It did, and I've never seen big way.
I've never seen like a team implode on itself and start calling people the stupidest people they've ever had work for the company, and having Andy Petrie, who's like the president or whatever he does, vice president, come in and say whatever he said to Creed, and then Creed goes
rates his driver in front of God and everybody.
And Creed goes, well, he hit me, you wouldn't say shit, So I don't know who the award specifically goes to, because there's a lot of hack action going on all around, like just the way it was handled. I'm
gonna say it goes to Sheldon Creed
because he started
Reason being not just for the on-track incident, but imagine being a race car driver, racing for your team all year, making it all the way to the second last race in the playoffs and getting eliminated by only a couple points, and the entire team gangs up on you, including the owner of the team himself. Richard Childress comes out and is quoted as saying he is one of the stupidest drivers I've ever had run for me. That does not happen because of one incident on the track. That is a season full of stupidity. They've gotten into it multiple times. Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed have had at least one actual wreck. I can't remember where it happened, but it was a few weeks back. They've had at least one actual wreck between the two of them. And
they wrecked each other. Creed wrecked Hill at Bristol, too.
There it is. That was the one. There's been just multiple incidents where something has gone on. and your teammate gets signed to a multi-year agreement to stay at the team in the same car, and you get booted out, called the stupidest driver I've ever had work for you. Can't wait for you to, your teammates saying, I can't wait till you're not working here anymore. Andy Petrie's down there screaming at you. That tells me enough right there. Every single person has someone they're pointing a finger at, but it's not a Mexican standoff. It's a firing squad. Everyone's pointing at Sheldon Creed.
Yeah, Sheldon Creed is my hack of the week because he tucks his ears into his hat.
That's a great reason. He probably tucks his jeans into his boots too.
He probably wears short pants. Yeah. He probably wears short pants. Sheldon Creed, me and Caleb have been on this like fuck Sheldon Creed train for a while, honestly, all the way back to his truck days.
When he told Marcus Lemonis that he was worth more than
10,000. Yeah, 10,000. Whatever.
I'm worth more than $10,000. It's like, yeah, that may be true, but you're also running unsponsored, and you don't even get that $10,000. Like, yeah, I mean, I get you got to stand up for yourself and be prideful, but like, don't be so prideful that you throw away all money altogether.
Yeah, so that we've kind of since then have been on that train. I mean, he's just it's interesting dude. I know his granddad's loaded. Like, he doesn't need sponsorship from what I've heard, you know. So also another reason that Sheldon Creed can be a hack of the week is someone has so he's raced for Childers for 2 years. This is his second year, and has he's came so close to winning some of these races over the years. And someone had like this, he had this is what it is counter that he says that in his interviews. Like, he gets out of the car and he stands the same way. He props up on the side of his car and says it is what it is. And I don't think team owners really like to hear that either. Like, you're not winning. You're not doing anything about not winning. And then you get out of the car and you act like you don't give a fuck and you say it is what it is. So I feel like that probably rubbed RC or whoever wrong too, just over the past few years, you know?
Yep, I bet it did, because how many major heroes of the sport has Richard Childress helped along their path?
Kevin Harvick and Dale Earnhardt.
Of them. And multiple others that have had huge names in the sport. And we're looking at Sheldon Creed. You just don't fit that mold, brother. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're not that guy. And
you are not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
You aren't. And you're just not going to get there acting like that. That's not championship level. That's not getting out of the car with a winning attitude. That is getting out of the car with we're here to have fun, aren't we?
Yeah, and that's the vibe I get from him.
As soon as you're at a little league, you're not here to have fun anymore. You're either here to win or go home.
Yeah.
And he's obviously chosen his path of let's go home, because, man, I can't imagine an entire organization on national television coming at me and telling me how dumb, stupid, and terrible I am at my job.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome, and it was just. I couldn't believe it was all going down. I was texting you and my dad at the same time. We were all talking about it. I was like, I've just never seen anything like that. I mean, I don't know. It was just the craziest thing.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is so good. I mean, best of luck to you if you can come out and figure it out at a different team.
He's going to JGR. That's what Austin Hill said in his interview.
Well, if you can go to JGR and get some wins, then good for you, man. Like, go out there and do it. Prove us all wrong. I mean, I love being proven wrong, because at least you're doing something then. But if you're going to come out here and just tell everybody how it wasn't your fault and this and that, I'm just looking at the whole situation. I mean, the on-track racing, was it really that crazy egregious? Did he completely wreck his teammate? No. But, I mean, to do everything that you did and still not make it through, well, I mean, it's always going to depend who you ask. But
yeah, I mean,
looking at it, I don't see anything.
He fucked them both out of making it, which maybe he did on purpose. Maybe he's like, fuck Richard Childress. I don't know, you know?
I don't know. I think he's got enough of his career.
The SMT data in the center of the corner, after he'd already doored the 21, he goes into the corner on the outside and he brake checks the fuck out of the 21. That's when he hit him and wrecked and everybody spun on the very last corner, and the 7 got up underneath him. The 7 had a broken wheel. Won that race with a broke wheel. The wheel was sitting like this right here.
Mm-hmm. If it was more than a 2-lap shootout, he wasn't winning that race.
It wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, I don't think it was longer than that corner he would have won. I don't know if he could have went down in turns 1 and 2 after the flag and actually made a racing corner in that.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Awesome finish. I loved the finish. It was amazing. It was everything you want to say. I think I'd said it exactly to this way to you. I'm so glad that Sheldon Creed did what he did because it made it so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
But I hate that he did what he did because he completely ruined his own race and his teammates' race and made a laughingstock of his entire team. It sucks, dude. Like, if he would have looked like a hero if he was 10 feet out in front of that 7 car, but he was 10 feet behind him. So you look like a zero. So he put himself in the moment, and he tried to do everything he could with it, and he's coming out of there with a lot of memes being made. Lots of memes. My favorite one, though, is somebody had the Flintstones car, and they put the two superimposed on it and said the race car Richard Childers against Sheldon Creed next week at Phoenix.
I saw that.
That was pretty good.
Which is true.
Maybe we're talking too much shit. He's going to come out here and win a championship with Joe Gibbs Racing next year, but I think that's a little bit of a far-fetched, idea.
But yeah, so all that to say, I know we talked about Phoenix the whole time, but we are looking forward to Phoenix. Obviously, me and Caleb having both of our dudes in it. Either one of us will be sad, one of us will be happy, or we'll both be sad next week. So
yep. And I'm just glad to finally have a year where I don't have to just cheer for your driver because I have no one else to go for.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, we're gonna be talking shit to each other all day, so
it's gonna be great. I don't even know what our plan is yet for watching the race. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either.
It's tough with the whole house fire situation. I'm disappointed I don't get to host this year.
Yeah.
So we'll figure something out. We'll have to let everybody know. Betting wise on Martinsville, though, I know you won one bet. What'd you say it was?
Briscoe top 10.
Well, there you go. I mean, SHR came out after all the shit we talked about SHR. This was the one bet you won was an SHR bet.
And not that I'm saying I'm new that or anything, but I did have bets on Priest and Briscoe. So I had looked at the finishing order and saw that SHR did really well at Martinsville earlier this year, and I was like, I could see this being all right. And for a minute there, all four of them were in the top 10, so that was pretty cool as well. Yeah,
it was cool. I ended up getting I knew Blaney was going to do well there. I did not expect to win, so I'm all for it. But I had Blaney picked as a top 5 because he has a lot of success at Martinsville, so I'm glad that one ended up hitting. And then I had one. I'd usually only do a 2-pick parlay, but this week I went ahead and put a 3-picker in there. And I had Blaney beating Logano, Busher beating Elliott, and Amarola beating Briscoe. And all of that added up to I think it was like a plus 600 bet, and ended up nailing that. So that was a good win for me. I ended up doubling my money between NFL, college football, and racing. I doubled what I started the weekend with. So I am all here for it. I had a great weekend betting wise.
Hell yeah.
And next weekend, I am betting 100% on Blaney.
Blaney, yeah.
And you're betting 100% on Kyle Larson. And if
that's
you're
pretty
picking
much all
winners,
I'm doing.
Pick one of the 4. Don't try to think this is going to be the year that's going to change. Pick one of the 4.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'll see what I want to do NFL wise, but for Cup, I'm just doing Larson. That's all. That's it.
Hell yeah, might as well. Having fun with it.
Hell yeah. Well, my name is Dawson Edwards. You can find me on Dawson Edwards Music across all platforms.
And I am Caleb Conrady. Find me at Caleb Conrowdy everywhere. Follow Raised Rowdy Racing. And thank you to Matt Burrill and Nikki T. We got one more podcast after a race coming up, and then we're going to figure out what else we're doing with it after the off-season comes, but we will let y'all know when we find out.
I got a feeling we're going to have some guests on over the off-season. That'll be cool to talk to some people.
I'm here for it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I got a big one I'm going to tell you about when we get off here, and I'll see what you think about it.
Nice. All right, y'all. Well, we enjoyed it. Another good one. Let's go on to Phoenix. Let's have a good race. Come on.
See y'all.